Hello again, my name is Ernest Minu. Let's settle for the details now. Some displaced residents at Old Fadama have abandoned the canopies provided by the city authorities to serve as temporary structures. The squatters, including nursing mothers, were compelled to sleep at the mercy of the cold weather Wednesday and Thursday nights after the illegal structures were demolished to pave way for the dredging of the Kole Lagoon. The Accra Mayor Mohammed Nia Jaisuwa promised to provide tents for them. Last night, JoyNews discovered that the city authorities had provided canopies instead of tents. However, abandoned the canopies. Now, some of them who spoke to JoyNews described the move as insulting, arguing the canopies won't protect them against insects and harsh weather conditions.
Mr. Abubakar, I see that they've given you some canopies here, but you are seated outside the canopy. Are you going to sleep? Are you going to sleep under the canopy?
Not.
Why?
The canopies is rejected by my own perspective.
Why have you rejected it?
Here was filled with kiosks all over. They came and demolished it, and now they represent the rooms with canopy, which is an insulting aspect of it.
Oh, but half a loaf is better than none.
No.
At least this thing can protect you from the sun, can protect you from rain.
The afternoon.
And can protect you from rain as well.
Yeah, but it's too painful. It's too painful.
So you still sleep in the open?
Yeah.
How are you going to sleep?
I prefer it than entering into the canopy, because I can't lose a room and now I'm sleeping under a canopy. It's an insult. It's too insulting.
Yesterday I spoke to you. You were sleeping on the metal chair here with some of your friends.
It's true.
And today I've seen that they provided you with some canopies.
This thing it can't help.
I mean, the canopies can help.
It can't help.
Why can't it help?
Because we don't have funeral here to do. So this thing it can't help us. We can't sleep under. Even afternoon time, the inside the seat, we are feeling heat. So this one,
I mean, this can protect you from the rain.
No.
Protect you from the sun. At least it provide a bit of shelter.
And what of mosquito?
But half a loaf is better than none, sir.
This one it will not help. It will not help. Even afternoon time, like if you are here afternoon time, if you go inside, you will see it can't help. Because this one is light. If sun heat, inside all is heat. So it can't help us. We can't sleep inside. See, by yourself, you see how it is.
So you won't sleep under?
No. If we sleep outside here, it's better.
In the open like this?
It's better. Because plenty of mosquito, but this thing nothing covers. So if we sleep here, it's better. It's better. So we feel how see, the thing is, and we come outside like this. If you are inside, mosquitoes. So if you come out like this, it's better. See how I'm sweating. You see?
I see. Boss, will you also sleep outside?
Oh.
Yes.
You all sleep outside?
Yes. This one, it can help us. Yeah, it can help us. If you are inside in the afternoon, the sun will reflect the sun. A lot of holes are on top. So we can't see it under. So yes, better for us.
You are sleeping here tonight?
Yeah.
Yesterday, where did you sleep, by the way?
Here.
Here?
Yes.
Okay. So today I've seen that they've given you canopies. How do you feel about it?
The canopies is nothing, because still mosquito they bite us. Still we feel cool. So they not cover anything for us apart from afternoon the sun.
So what exactly do you want?
The thing we want, like the time we want started our this thing, it's supposed to find the thing where we will find the place where we will sleep, or the place where we will stay, where this thing finished before. But they don't do that. So right now we will find a place where we will sleep. The place where they sleep. But right now, waiting to find the place where they sleep. And less money. By lockdown come, we no get money, we no dey do anything, we no dey work anything again. So we know if we get the money.
Do you have a wife? Do you have children?
Yes, I get.
You get wife?
Yes.
How many wives?
I get 2 wives.
Oh, you get 2 wives?
Yes.
So why are they? Why are your wives?
One day.
And then where's the other one?
Other one is not here.
No.
Sending.
So she also come and sleep here?
Yes.
My colleague Chrissy Parker Wilson joins us via Skype now. Parker, thank you for joining us. You were there for the second time last night. Tell us about the tents. Where have they been mounted and how many?
Okay, so just a quick correction. It's actually not a tent, but a canopy.
The canopies, yes.
So,
the canopies.
Yeah, so I actually saw about 5 canopies that have been mounted at strategic points at what I'm aware. Of course, that should happen. If you even ask the people there, they tell me that the 5 canopies are not enough. There are a number of people who have been displaced or affected. They need about 15 canopies where it can serve as a shelter for them in the afternoon. So 5 canopies that they even brought were inadequate. But that notwithstanding, they made a point about not using the canopies that have been provided because it wouldn't serve the purpose for which the city authorities brought them. The point I made was that the city authorities and in fact the mayor himself had mentioned that there was a conversation between the slum dwellers and the authorities that they needed some tents as far as the demolition exercise is concerned. So they were expectant of some tents. They were waiting for the assembly to provide them with tents where they can cover them and shield them from some insects and mosquitoes. But of course, the canopies that they brought would not serve that purpose. And as you heard some of them say, they are going to reject it. They won't use it. They won't be under the canopies because, they think it wouldn't really do anything to them. They had a kiosk, but now the structures have been demolished, and we bring them a canopy. Some of them even describe it as quite insulting for them. So last night, so when I visited the area, I still saw some people still sleeping rough. They were sleeping in the open, sleeping on chairs, the benches and tabletops. Of course, some of them had not on mattresses as well. And quite a few people were seen under the canopies asleep, but majority of them were sleeping outside the canopy, and the indication is that they are not going to use the canopy. So that was the situation when the team and I visited the slum dwellers last.
So 5 canopies, they're saying that is insulting, but even then the 5 will not be enough. How many are they looking at, to take care of the numbers?
Right, so they are looking at about 10 to 15 canopies if there's anything to go by. And because you're talking about close to 1,000 over 1,000 people who have been displaced at Old Fadama. Now, if you provide 5 canopies, the argument they put, the advance is, let's assume that about 20, 25 people are under 1 canopy. Clearly, they wouldn't cater for the number of people who have been displaced. So it's important that they add more canopies, but now that they don't even want the canopies, they want the tent. And Ernest, we've heard the mayor, of course, when I spoke to him, had talked about provision of tents. So they were quite surprised and unhappy that you talk about tents, and yet what we see here is a canopy or canopy. So they wanted the authorities to fulfill the pledge by providing them with tents. But most importantly, they still want to go back to their hometown, their home region, where they come from, because they think that when they are there, they'll have a place to be, it's safer for them, and there wouldn't be any hassle. And last night, I met another pregnant woman who told me that by the end of the week, or probably early next week, is likely she'll deliver. And her major concern right now is that when she returns from the labor ward, where is she going to keep her baby? Where are they going to sleep? Where are they going to spend the night? That is a major concern. So she was making a passionate appeal to the authorities to make available transportation, buses for them, transport them to the home region so that they can have safe delivery and have a very comfortable place for her baby when she delivers.
Yesterday, when you went there, aside the issue of shelter, food was also a problem for them. Some of them were going to bed on empty stomachs. What was the condition yesterday?
Yes, it's still persist. In fact, there are those who have said that names were written for the social intervention programs that is being implemented by government during the period of lockdown. Unfortunately for them, they have not benefited from the social intervention programs. And because of the lockdown, they are unable to go to work because most of them are headquarters. They are Okada riders. They are unable to apply their trade, and so they don't have enough money on them. So eating has become quite difficult. How to survive has become a challenge and a problem for them. And again, they are asking that at least the food, the social intervention programs that is being implemented by the government should actually reach them, because they are there. They have no one to speak for them. Nobody's on their behalf. And they hear that food has come around. Actually, the people are around. By the time they get there, they're done and they're gone. So most of them are not benefiting from the social intervention program. And they want government to come to their aid. They shouldn't use middlemen or intermediaries for the process. And the allegation is that they were selecting a few people to give them the food or the items government is sharing, and that is quite a concern to them as well. So Ernest, well, the allegation is that they are not benefiting from it. So government and the AMA should try and make sure that at least the provision and all the things that they are sharing at least get to them.
Parker, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on the situation at Old Fadama. I know you'll be following up on this, and we'll do more, some more checks with the AMA to find out what has been done to alleviate the plight of these people. Now, Robert Amoafo is the country director of Amnesty International, which has been advocating for relocation of these displaced residents to the Trade Fair Center. Robert, we understand that you have been in touch with the authorities. What exactly have you done since the last time you got in touch with them?
Thank you very much. What we have done as an organization is basically to go to the field to verify the news item that has been going around and making attempts, as you have said, to reach the authorities to see the next steps that is expected to be done. Through our press release, we have made clearly our recommendations and what we hope that will be done as soon as possible. This issue is quite serious. If you look at the condition of the people, it's not something that we can wait any longer or decide that something that we can do later. I think it's an action that is supposed to be taken now, because this action was supposed to be taken way before a decision of a demolition was supposed to be considered.
They were promised tents. What they have now are canopies, and they find that very insulting. Why do you decide, what is behind the choice of the Trade Fair Center as a good place to relocate these quarters?
One, we are believing that we need a place that is large enough to house these people. And bear in mind, this is just a suggestion. We believe that the AMA has more powers and they have more available spaces that they can offer to these people. We believe that there's more that they can do. The only problem we have is the time and the fact that this didn't come before the demolition happened. We are hoping that as we go forward, they will, at least today, do something, move the people from there, and then also halt the demolition so that we don't add more people to this issue.
Yes, Robert, we know that it is the responsibility of government. We know that the AMA as a local authority is directly in charge and must ensure that these people are safe and under the best of conditions. But as an organization with a kind of authority that you have and the influence that you have, is there anything tangible that you can do for these residents? We seem to have lost Robert there on Skype. We'll try and reconnect and find out if Amnesty International is in the position to provide some form of relief, tangibles for these people while we wait on government, which has ultimate responsibility as far as this is concerned. Robert would reconnect with us, and then we will follow up on this story. So the story right now is that is the second day after the demolition of the the structures at Old Fadama to make way for the dredging of the Korle Lagoon. And Robert joins us again via Skype. Robert, thank you very much. We lost you briefly. He's on phone with us. I was just finding out, we know that government has ultimate responsibility. The local authority, that's the AMA, must ensure that they are safe. But as an organization, with the influence that you have, are you able to provide anything in the meantime whilst we wait on the authorities to do something?
Our responsibility as a human rights organization is to ensure that government does its responsibility or implements such a responsibility. We would call on our colleagues in the other international organizations that provide relief services. Okay. That's what we are doing now, calling on other international organizations that provide the relief services to come to their aid as soon as possible. But our role as Amnesty International globally is to always ensure that government implements its responsibility accordingly and ensure that every person is safe within the remit of the law.
Robert, thank you very much for your time here on Newsdesk. And like we did mention, we're going to follow up with the AMA to find out what has become of their promise to provide tents for these people. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has ordered the closure of shops, including food sellers, in the central business district of the city, and it's in reaction to the disregard by exempt traders to the lockdown directives to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Stickers have also been introduced to restrict vehicular and human traffic in town. Nana Aljima has been monitoring the new security measures in Kumasi and filed this report.
The measure, as part of stepped-up security enforcement, hits mostly dealers in processed foods. Within every 200 meters is a police or military barrier where personnel question people in vehicles about why they are out.
You are not supposed to move from the quiet to this place. Then I would pay from her, the quiet venue.
Here is City Mayor Osei SB entry justifying the revised measure.
They've been trading, but they were not helping matters, especially the porters, the loaders in front of their shop. They were not observing the protocols, the COVID-19 protocols. So even around 10 o'clock, the Central Police Command called them into a meeting, first of all to interact with them, to let them know that they have a responsibility. If they've been permitted to trade, it means that they also have a responsibility to ensure that their workers are also observing the lockdown protocols, that is the COVID-19 protocols, to avoid the spread. So when things were getting bad, they decided and advised, and I ordered that it has to be closed. So as at now, we are going to have a meeting with them, first of all, to regulate them.
Human and vehicular traffic has been reduced significantly, with only vehicles belonging to recognized transport unions allowed in the central business district. Motorists whose vehicles have no stickers and also fail to give tangible reasons for their presence on the roads are denied passage, leaving many stranded. Mr. Osei Esibe explains the revised measure is in the public interest.
As a matter of fact, we want to regulate the transport activities. And as the last 2 weeks, when we had the first meeting with the 24 transport unions, they made it clear and they made us aware that those within the units, those within the unions are being controlled. The unions can control them, and the unions are observing the protocols to such an extent that we ensure the hand washing, a whole lot of others, but our drivers do not fall under any authority and they do things anyhow.
The revised measure is subject to further review in line with the national directives. For JoyNews, Nana Aljima.
Waste Management and Environmental Sanitation Institution Zoomlion Ghana Limited has disinfected 2 campuses of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta Regional Capital. This initiative forms part of the institution's social corporate responsibility to contribute to the fight against the spread of coronavirus and to make the campuses safe for the students and faculties. There's more in the following report.
A team of about 20 virtual sprayers were detailed to undertake the exercise at the 2 campuses of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho. They disinfected offices, lecture halls, auditoriums, dormitories, and other facilities to get rid of microorganisms. The sprayers focused mainly on door handles, surfaces of furniture, and areas where people easily touch. Isaac Ablameti is the Volta Regional Vector Control Officer of Zoomlion Ghana Limited.
The disinfection exercise against pathogens. If I say pathogens, I'm referring to microorganisms which we cannot see with your naked eyes, and against possible viruses that may find their way to this environment. This COVID-19, nobody can tell where it can be found and where it cannot be found. So the ideal thing for us to do is to make sure all potential breeding sites or potential sites that people can get these infections are disinfected so that the spread can be kept.
The Director for Works and Physical Development, Dr. William Jidoga, appreciated efforts of Zoomlion to make the campus safe for academic activities.
In fact, the exercise is in order, given the way this virus is being contaminating. It's very good, a laudable initiative that government is instituting this disinfection exercise because it will make the campuses safe. So our appreciation to government on behalf of management of the university.
Zoomlion Ghana Limited has promised to replicate the disinfection exercise in other tertiary institutions across the region to combat the spread of the coronavirus. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Ho.
The Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra, Most Reverend John Bonaventure Kofi, is urging Christians to have faith in the Lord, especially in these troubling times. Now, he wants Christians to continue praying, wash their hands regularly, and stick to the social distancing rules, and that life after the end of COVID-19 will be good. Ghana, like many other countries, is battling the fast-spreading COVID-19. Businessman and philanthropist Ernest Sicho Domi was accompanied by the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra to donate some items, including PPEs, to the Adentan police station. We'll hear from the religious leader shortly, but first, here's the businessman speaking about why he had to step in to assist the police.
This pandemic that has affected the whole of humanity. And so it's a very difficult situation for all of us to go through this period.
Responsibility with my church and Accra Diocese as a whole, and with the GJ president, who is also living in the community, who is here with us. That well, we cannot do all, but we came together as a community so that we can also fight the cause that we are all fighting for, to help the Adenta police not do all. So we are only here to also do our part in the community that we live, that they protect us. So I brought them drinks, soft drinks, water, hand wash soap, disinfectant, and N95 face mask, so they can use as logistics to protect us. Thank you very much.
People are supporting the government in all ways. So if he's also bringing this one to our personnel and the people in the cell, we don't have anything to say. What we say is thanks to him and thanks be to God. God bless us all.
We can now listen to the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra, Most Reverend John Bonaventure.
This pandemic that has affected the whole of humanity. And so it's a very difficult situation for all of us to go through this period of the coronavirus. As we have heard, at the moment, there's no vaccine for sin. And so the only thing is to make sure that you don't contract this virus. And so, and especially when you talk about Ghana, the health delivery system in Ghana is not yet at that stage to support this. So I would want to emphasize that the preventive measures that government has put in place, every citizen must adhere to these preventive measures. But it's better to prevent it than to say we are going to cure it, because it's very difficult for everybody. Yeah. And so the church, what the church says is that everybody must recognize that the government, the protocols put down by the government are there to help the Ghanaian stay alive, stay healthy. And so I want to emphasize that let us all be obedient, observing these measures. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are distressed right now because they've had to stay at home, not because they want to, but because they've been forced. Any words of encouragement for some of our people locked up in their homes and can't come out? They can't congregate as families, friends, as we are used to as a people.
Yeah. In actual fact, I think, as I mentioned, it is important for all of us to adhere to these measures. And the major thing is to stay at home. And so those, all of us are locked at home. Why? Because to go out, you never know where you're going to contract this, what do you call it, virus. And so it's better for us to stay at home. And so those who are held at home, let them know that it's just a measure at the moment. It's not going to be forever. So the more we obey this, the better for us. And so I want to say, don't think that you have been locked in your house, you can't do what you want to do. Don't think that. The best thing is that we all remain supportive of one another. Because if I stay at home, you stay at home, social distancing, as we talk about, if I do it not just for myself, but also for you. If you did not just for yourself, but also for me. So it's something we owe this responsibility to one another. Yeah.
What do you say to those who say this is a curse from God?
Yes, I would want us to not use that language. Why? God does not curse us. It's not the nature of God to curse human beings. God wants our good. When He created the heavens and the earth, if you read Genesis, it says everything He created, He found that it was good. God will not curse us. God accompanies us on our journey of life. And so you don't see this as a curse. Epidemics come and go. It's not the first time. And we hope that it will be the last. But it comes and then it goes. And so it is not a curse on humanity. Something must have gone wrong in our own dealings with one another, or this and that, you know, the way things evolve in society. Something must have gone wrong. That's why we are having it. But it is not a curse from God. God does not curse us. And so I want human beings to realize this, that this has come to us, unfortunate as it is. God is also through it opening new doors for us. Through it, God is scaling us into a new height, but it's not a curse that God has placed on humanity. Yeah.
And still to come here on News Desk, congestion in the camp of Ghana Paralympics team in Kumasi is raising fears of potential spread of COVID-19 if any of the athletes contracts the disease. We have details after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on NewsDesk. Now, staff of the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research and the Ga East Hospital managing Ghana's COVID-19 cases hospitality giants may be under pressure from the amount of work they have to do to help the country defeat the virus. But their sweat is not going unnoticed as some Ghanaians continue to support them in one way or the other. The latest to recognize their work is the hospitality giant Alisa Hotel management of the company this week provided food and other items to the staff at the two facilities in appreciation of their work. George Osei Tutufosu is the operations manager at Alisa.
Herbert, because the hotel quarantines at Alisa Hotel. As soon as he said, I'm from Alisa, I said, oh, don't worry, we are working on your samples, don't worry. Then he said, I'm not calling about samples, I'm calling because we think that during the Easter you'll be working. And we'll be working day and night. I have close to, close to 100 people, 3 shifts, 24 hours. So this is really great. They sacrificed their Easter to process samples and to try and get results back to the clinicians and also those who are doing their contact tracing. It's been a hell of an effort. So we're very happy that Alisa, remembered us and together with the clinical team brought us some food for the Easter. Thank you very much.
Now, frontline worker at the Easter and the senior official of Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research who received the items were full of praise for Alisa, which happens to be one of the hotels where a number of persons quarantined on their return to Ghana and tested for COVID-19.
We are here this afternoon to come and support our brothers and sisters who are on the front line. That's the Noguchi Memorial Institute as well as the Ghana East Hospital. In this pandemic that we find ourselves, Alisa Hotel, as a Ghanaian-owned company, cannot sit back and see our brothers on the front line without us helping. So we're here this afternoon to come and support them with packed lunch, to let them know that we are standing with them in these difficult times, and we pray and hope that this time will soon pass us by. Thank you.
Let's bring you some more stories here on Newsdesk. Congestion in the camp of the Ghana Paralympics team in Kumasi is raising fears of potential spread of COVID-19 if any of the athletes contract the disease. About 25 of them are crammed into a single wooden apartment in total disregard of social distancing protocol at the risk of the athletes. Nana Sensumensa has been interacting with the national athlete and now reports.
I'm from Jamquarison, we are powerlifter, or 80 category. I'm from Frederick AJ, me a powerlifter, or 47 category.
Medini Patrick Albe, I'm a captain of the para team. Medals Amajama country about 25 medals and then more awards. Bibuya Amajama or minor.
The national para-athletic team have been camping in preparation for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, which have now been postponed to next year due to the coronavirus pandemic. A makeshift wooden structure has housed the country's Paralympic team since 2006. The athletes appear not to have a choice, having to endure such conditions in a bid to chalk successes at global competitions for Ghana. Poor accommodation of the team can no longer be ignored, at least until COVID-19 is over. Multiple Olympic gold medalist Patrick Yaobin is captain of the national team.
You're from Patrick Yaobin. So because I become medals, somebody I say, or Gorona because a lot of medals. Because me call one event, meet me two or one competition and meet me medals in the USA. The rest of one I'm in Morocco, African Para Championships, and then we win 800 meters and 1,500 meters gold. So 2 events now me event I'm to know. 2 years ago, April last 2 years. Come there, make us come there BDH say first na near warning in Accra, nya dia, yenya BPA free baby. Like, all starting now, we are into no say parity my national. But yenya support to be a free government work. Say, ye trainee, see a ben no more, Debbie. Even Minister, Sports Minister, Crab Basti Romana, Yahoo, near approaching on the crown, Menembacasa, and our pie local. So said the president. And see, your difficulties near Numa be brave because I had, yeah, government anywhere. At said, yeah, or many Black Stars on me free say, and can make Cassie with difficulties because, yeah, crown who can do what he said, yeah, or more football who can. And so anytime be on, or my journey, you focus on now, ball.
Your family is Zinabu Yisa. Miss Mayor Fred event, I'm to discuss in Javelin, short foods. Miss Maji medals to Amagana, Abayama, Miss Mayor Camp team. Yenina, that we am because a Dawson, if you have been pateti, Kakrabi Neufia, the Akan a man near bear 10 and a man no can so. It's Yenina that we munti, I dear Sassy, I know I say now, be a young conchain or Talia, nature say, Yadabum. Because you see in a phone in a titty dime. Into Hayani, that a training, and upon you bring in a Hayani, I wish you share baby a Hayana of a barber tree. And he said, we any buy any day, and one see a 4 for sister, just had the arching, Obia, and a quiet up a young and you know baby a day at Natana. It is Annie, the titty or Hassie.
A standard gem is another concern as the environment and facilities are not sport friendly. I take you into the existing gem made of old locomotive metals athletes have had to contend with over the years. Mr. Obin laments repeated complaints to authorities have fallen on deaf ears. These physically challenged patriots have defied the odds to sacrifice for their country and not chosen the easy way of begging on the streets. The major safety mantra against COVID-19 is social distancing, hand washing, and staying home. However, until help comes the way of these national athletes, they are exposed to danger of contracting the disease. Nana Asensumensa reporting.
Very worrying situation there. Now, we're just under 2 million infections worldwide, and a quarter of the number recovering. COVID-19 seems to have brought anxiety to many people, especially in high-risk prone areas. Ghana is yet to record double digits in terms of deaths, but confirmed cases have crossed 500. It raises questions about voluntary testing besides the routine and expanded testing being undertaken by the Ghana Health Service. Before rushing to go to the hospital to know your risk status, perhaps you might want to first check out an application developed by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Love FM's Kwesi Debra speaks with the people behind the innovation and our reports.
Today, a pharmaceutical company is sharing relief items to residents of Fumesa in the Ashanti region of Ghana. The government's partial lockdown has taken a toll on the people, mostly artisans. Unlike others, Nana Kwesi requested for a nose mask. The donors had earlier told him they had run out of stock, but later managed to get him one with a torn band. The young man wouldn't mind wearing it in that state because he wants to protect others from a cough he had been experiencing since the previous day. I've heard the symptoms of COVID-19 include coughing, sore throat, and others. Though I've been coughing since yesterday, I wouldn't know if I have COVID-19 or not. In defiance of Ghana Health Service announcement for people with symptoms of COVID-19 to stay home and call designated call centers for attention, Nana Kwesi is bound for the hospital for checkup. According to a report published in the Journal of American Medical Association, somatic symptom disorder is a persistent fear of undiagnosed medical condition. The authors note that it affects 5% of medical outpatients. In the wake of coronavirus, anxiety is all-time high. What about somatic symptom disorder? Your guess is as good as mine.
This one, can you be telling me already?
Right, so...
Okay, yes, and then there is another...
A team of experts from KNUST School of Public Health has developed a web-based app called COVID-19 TechBot. His brainchild, Dr. Rata Singh of KNUST Hospital, says the innovation was informed by the need to reduce excessive doctor-patient contact during this period due to the risk of cross-infection and reduce exposure to healthcare workers.
That we want to reduce contacts between a doctor and a patient as much as possible, because we really don't want people to be coming to the hospital settings, because those are sort of the most risky areas to be coming at this point.
That's right.
So we can see there's a lot of people.
Dr. Singh leveraged her experience in the use of technology for control of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes and hypertension with the support of the Dean of Public Health, Professor Ellis Usudabo, and Kenneth Asante-Usu of the University Information Technology Services to design an app that can be used to assess risk for COVID-19.
It was also in an effort to reduce the anxiety and panic that is being caused because of COVID-19, so that patients or people can sit in their homes and have the luxury of using their phones or their computers to be able to assess their risk.
The app, which is now a free web link, was designed based on guidelines from the World Health Organization and Ghana Health Service. It gives assessment based on answers composed from 8 questions.
And it starts with a welcome address telling you about what it is for and then where the guidelines are coming from. And it goes ahead to ask you about your age, where you would feed in your number. So the age is the only place where you would actually type in a number. But all the others, the remaining 7 questions, with the multiple choice questions with different scores. So like travel history, then we have medical conditions, if you have previous medical conditions, the symptoms you have, do you have a fever, do you have a cough, do you have a shortness of breath? So it takes you through all that. So we've had 6,000.
The tool provides a final risk assessment of the individual ranging from low, medium to high risk.
And tells you the actions you have to take. So it gives you the helpline numbers, and like I said, some of the helpline numbers are from the Ghana Health Service, and then it tells you on certain instructions like whether to start home isolation immediately, avoiding any contact with family members.
The app, which was deployed in the first week of April, has had more than 6,000 responses already.
Since we deployed on the 3rd of April, there's been over 6,000 responses or assessments, and most of them are low risk. That's over 4,000, and then a few of them, about 86, are high risk. Hello, good evening.
So what are users saying about the app? Bright Atta, a front desk executive, is not new to healthcare apps.
That starts with you indicating your symptoms. Then maybe I'm having a headache.
Though he's satisfied with TechBot, he thinks it could be a bit personal.
I'm a customer service person, and then I meet people. Do you understand? But what I'm trying to talk about is, if my meeting people, I won't know if they have it or they don't. Do you understand? But they categorize the whole thing, and they like into bracket this, into bracket that, into bracket. Like, they grouped all together. But if they could segregate it, then it will expand more.
Bright also thinks the final assessment of low, medium and high risk should be quantified.
It should give us a percentage bar. Then that one will also help in educating people that, okay, even I'm in the low risk, maybe I'm at least 75% in the low risk category, still then I need to do more.
Unlike the GH COVID-19 tracker developed by the Ghana Health Service, which demands personal details such as mobile number and email ID, TechBot doesn't.
We wish we would have one of the questions or one of the items in the app that would be able to detect the patient's location. But just because it will give us access to the patient's, like it's an identifier of the patient or the person. So that is one limitation. If we could get the locations based on where people are answering these questions from. Then at least for those people who might be in the medium risk or high risk, we might be able to have access to them, and then maybe organize a surveillance screening or something for them that moving on into the future we can add that item to it so that it will add more value to whatever we are collecting. So like I said,
with the virus becoming more complex to manage amid potential extension of lockdowns, digital platforms such as TechBot will come in handy to augment platforms like the one launched by government to quell the number of infections.
4,100.
You might want to give it a try.
Then we have very few.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
And that'll be it for News Desk. Many thanks for your company throughout the week. Remember to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and observe the protocols. My name is Ernest Mina. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Now, Jen is standing by with JoyNews Interactive. Stay tuned.